So you want to be a sponsor? That's wonderful. This presentation will help you to prepare for your big role that you're about to take in someone's spiritual life. First, what a sponsor is not. A sponsor is not just a family member or friend. Uncle Frank is fun and Aunt Patty is peachy, but just being a family relation or near relation is not enough to be a sponsor. There's a little bit more to it. Not just being a baptized Catholic. Certainly, being Catholic is important, but there is still more to being a sponsor. Not just because someone asked. It sure is hard to tell someone no when they are asking you to take on such a big privilege, but it'll take more than just a yes. What a sponsor is. A sponsor is a person who helps the baptized person lead a Christian life in keeping with baptism and to fulfill faithfully the obligations inherent in it. It's your job to help them be a good Catholic. Now, let's look at some of the requirements for sponsors. First, for baptism, one male and/or one female. For confirmation, it's just one, and preferably to be one of the baptismal sponsors. 2, designated by the recipient or the parent or the equivalent to a parent of the recipient. This is especially in the case of infant baptism. Number 3, you must be at least 16 years old to be a sponsor, having received already confirmation and the Eucharist. Number 4, no canonical penalties. Number 5, can't be the father or the mother of the recipient. 6, must have the aptitude and intention of fulfilling this function. What this means is that you actually have to be able to complete these things and want to do so. And we'll go on a little bit further about what the role is. Number 7, must lead a life of faith in keeping with the function to be taken on. After all, you're here to be a sponsor. You should lead a life of faith, which is an inspiration to them. Number 8, you must help the recipient to behave as a true witness of Christ and faithfully fulfill the obligations inherent in this sacrament. What that means is, you must help them, especially by your example of life, to be a witness to Christ and yourself to faithfully fulfill the obligations. That way, when you help them to fulfill them, you're not a hypocrite. And now, we'll talk about the 5 precepts of the Church. In the Roman Catechism, paragraph 2041, I'll read. The precepts of the Church are set in the context of a moral life, bound to and nourished by liturgical life. The obligatory character of these positive laws decreed by the pastoral authorities is meant to guarantee to the faithful the very necessary minimum in the spirit of prayer and moral effort, in growth, in love of God and neighbor. The first of the 5 precepts of the Church, again, the very necessary minimum, is that you shall attend Mass every Sunday and on holy days of obligation, and rest from servile labor. That means, to the best of your ability, you're not supposed to do a lot of work on Sundays and holy days of obligation. Number 2, confession. You shall confess your sins at least once a year. This means that you go into the confessional, sit down with the priest, or call him up for an appointment in the office and say, "Hey, Father, I need to confess." If it has been a while, or you don't know quite what you're doing, don't worry. He's there to help. Number 3, you shall receive the sacrament of the Eucharist at least during the Easter season. At least once a year, that is. So, of course, it's better to receive it more often. But especially if you haven't been to confession, get there first, and then go receive worthily the Eucharist. Number 4, fasting and abstinence. You shall abstain the days of fasting and abstinence established by the Church. This includes not only Lent, but every Friday of the year, you're to offer up some kind of act of penance. If you have more questions on this, please contact your local priest. Number 5, tithing. You shall help to provide for the needs of the church. Now, the Lord has given us many blessings in time, talent, and treasure. Therefore, we ought to be offering some of these to the church in each way. All right, now let's hit up our checklist. Just as a quick note on that, whether you're going to be a sponsor here or in the grade out there, here is our checklist of necessary items. Please note, other dioceses and parishes might have additional requirements. Please contact us immediately if they require something that's more than what's listed here, so we can help you get on your way and be a good sponsor. On to the checklist. First, certification from your church of baptism, a valid reception of the sacraments, baptism, confirmation, and first communion. This means not necessarily that we have a copy of baptismal certificate, but that when you send it in to us, there's at least notification from your church officially of baptism, confirmation, and first communion provided there. Next, verification of supporting the needs of the church for at least 3 months of consistent giving. Now, this video is coming out before Easter of 2021. So, to give people a little bit of notice, we'll say that we won't start enforcing this one strictly until we get to this summer. So, at least by July, anyone coming in July of 2021, you should know that because this is out there, we're going to be expecting that and enforcing that, upholding that, whenever it comes in July of 2021 and thereafter. Now, how do we verify the supporting the needs of the church? Well, our only means of verifying this are through either the parish envelopes or our online giving option. And the secretary can easily make this verification for you by checking our records. If you give by another means, then I'm sorry, but we have no way of verifying that you've actually supported the needs of the church. So please make use of the free envelopes or our free online giving option. Finally, your affidavit, signed in the presence of a priest or a deacon, that affirms you come to Mass regularly, receive the Eucharist at least once in the Easter season, and fulfill the Church's requirements of fasting and abstinence, and you're not otherwise barred from being a sponsor. Now, you may ask, what is one of those other reasons for being barred? Well, for one, married outside of the Church. If you are in an illicit marriage, meaning that it hasn't been approved by the Church, then you need to get that reconciled beforehand. The Church cannot permit anyone in an illicit marriage from being a sponsor. Now, you may also ask, where can I find this affidavit? Well, you'll find it in the parish offices, but you can also look at a sample of it on our website under the Sacraments tab and then click on Sponsors. Now, you are well on your way to being a sponsor. Make sure all forms and requirements are worked up in at least 3 to 6 weeks before you take the reins as being a sponsor. This makes sure that there's plenty of time so we can catch any mistakes or errors that might come up along the way. We're here to help. We want you to be a great sponsor.